Finally back at the light plant. So what I've done is, I think last video I had just painted the base. Since then I have gone in and I have cleaned up most of the block. I've cleaned up the other side as well, and there's still some rust on it, but since I want to paint everything at one time, in this cast iron, if you leave it overnight, it'll just develop a skin of rust on it, just flash rust. So I opted, instead of completely cleaning it up, I would go ahead and put the cylinder block back on the oil sump. So what I'm going to do is, I still need to clean up these gaskets a little bit, but hopefully I can get the cylinder block back on the oil sump sometime in the next couple days, which it'll probably be all in the same video. But so what I've done is I've put the pan back in here. I don't even know what this is called. It would be the I guess the splash pan for the piston, or the connecting rods. And I've gone ahead and put some assembly lube on the oil pump and reassembled the oil pump. So this little plunger right here moves up and down, and it moves up and down based on this little plunger right here. So anyway, I'm going to clean up the gasket surfaces and then see if I can't put the two halves back together so we can start rebuilding the light plant rather than taking it apart. So pretty happy about that. We've started going in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. Okay, progress. Of course, I've always made progress. I don't just make a video just because. So what I've done, and this will probably all be in one big video because it's been lots of little things that I've done here and there, nothing worth making a video over. Lots of time, but not much evidence-based progress. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and cleaned up everything, cleaned up the base, got everything all nice and cleaned up. I went ahead and primed it, and then turned around and I got the first coat of Rust-Oleum on it. So the whole engine's been painted now. To protect the pistons and everything, I went ahead and put the head on. There's no nuts on the head bolts, but it's just sitting up there. I just wanted something to protect the cylinders. Next order of business is to here, look at this side. So I've got a little bit of cleanup work to do around gasket surfaces and whatnot, mainly because I was in a hurry to get this painted or primed, since it rusts so quickly, and I was running out of time, and so I had to take the cheater's way out, and I had to go ahead and paint over this. Not ideal. I try not to do stuff like that, but sometimes when you're in a hurry, and I was afraid it was going to rust again. So I've got a little overspray here and there that I've got to clean up. But next order of business is I'm going to put the governor back on. I still have to paint that, but the whole reason of taking it off was so I could clean up and paint back here, which I've done now. So today I'm going to sit down and finish. I've cleaned up the main governor case, but I have not cleaned up the back part of the case here. But I've got the governor back together. And so I'll go ahead and work on cleaning this up today and get it primed. And once I get it primed, I'll go ahead and install it back on here. This gasket surface here, there was kind of a gasket. I've been using, to when I put the base back on, I just used black RTV. Since it's an oil-based RTV, you see I got a little seepage here and there. So the problem with putting the cylinder head back on to the oil sump is the fact that the cylinder head is very heavy, and I don't have an overhead hoist to lower the cylinder head onto the base. So I ended up using the forks on the tractor, and in the process it got a little off balance. It took a little bit to get done. And then I also, in the process, I somehow dropped the oil pump piston out of the oil, or I pulled it out of the oil pump. I'm not really sure exactly what happened, but anyway, had to rescue that, and so hopefully it's all sealed down here. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the governor and get it primed and then get it put back on. Clean up this gasket surface and this gasket surface, and then hopefully I can put the governor gear back on and line those times back up, line the timing marks back up, and then hopefully that'll be progress for today. I don't know if I'll actually, after it primes, I don't know if I'll get that done. So hopefully in the next week or so I will have the engine block put back together. That will make me happy. So that's the goal over the next week, is to get the whole engine block put together. I have not worked at all on the generator guts part. Just simply no time to do that. I want to get the engine block done, and I want to get it at least running without, because you don't need the generator. I don't think you need the generator portion just to get it to run, manually start it. So anyway, I think that's where I'm at right now. Okay, it's starting to look like a real light plane again. So what I've done is I've gotten the flywheel, or the governor, back on, and it's all primed and everything. I still have to paint it when I do the final coat of paint for the whole thing. I was dinging a lot of the paint as I was going along, so what I opted to do is anything that I haven't painted already, I'm just going to paint on the machine. That way, because I already painted these bolts, so when I put them on, I tried to protect them, but they were still peeling up some paint. So once I get completely done with it, I'll just give it a final coat, or 2 or 3, and be done with it. So I've got the governor mechanism on. I have the oil sump cover on, and I have the cam gear, the front gear case cover on. Almost had a moment of panic. I still have to torque these bolts down. This is what I just put on. I'm waiting for the RTV to set up, and I was almost tempted to use a cork to do this gasket, but then I decided to use RTV. Simply because the cork gasket that I made down here for the oil sump cover, I'm not sure how well it'll handle the stress of the nuts going on as I put it on. I just don't have the proper tools to make the right size bolt holes. Normally I've used copper tubing in the past to make stuff like that, and just wasn't working all that great this time. So that's something that I'll work on in the future. So I used RTV, so that still has to set up, so I still have to torque those bolts down. I got the crank back on. I've got the spark plugs in to just help cover up the spark plug holes, and I have the oil drain back on, or part of the oil drain back on. So overall, it's starting to look real again. In fact, before I quit tonight, I'll probably put the magneto bracket back on, and then really what's left is I need to do some painting, and then I need to turn my attention to the head and the oil pump and everything else. I really would like to test this oil pump, but there's no way to test it without completely assembling the machine and running it. I've tried to lube everything as I went, put lots of assembly lube all over the gears and everything, assembly lube in the oil pump as I finish that. So overall, it's coming back together pretty well. Had a moment of panic. That fiber washer that I told you about in a previous video for the camshaft, the fiber plug, I lost it for a few minutes, and luckily found it. I can't remember where I found it, but anyway, I put it in a safe place, and it was a safe place from me being able to find it. So I still have a lot of prep work to do on some parts. Like I still have to clean up the housing, the valve covers and everything. I still have to make a lot of gaskets. I mean, RTV won't work on radiators and such, so I've still got to clean up this over here. I think I said that in an earlier section. I'll mount the fuel pump. It's probably one of the last things that I'll mount. Trying to think of what else. I've got to put the oil filter back on and all that assembly. So yeah, I mean, we're coming along. Hopefully I get it done before Labor Day. We're fast approaching, so we'll see if I can get it done. Anyway, that's progress for now, and I think that's, I don't know, I think there's probably only 3 or 4 videos, but it's just been over the last week or so as I've been working on it. So that'll give you some good progress updates.